for ignoring some of the trends and the stories about places like Stuyvesant Town, or simply tailing after the politicians and being a stonecutter, what I call a stonecutter. You know, you just merely take down what they say with your hammer and chisel. So what stories did the mainstream press miss, if that's the case? Starting with Stuyvesant Town and Starrett City, because there was an awful lot of coverage. So what was it that they got specifically that they got wrong?
Well, I don't know necessarily if they got it wrong. They just didn't get it. I think that you got to remember back during the middle part of the decade, a lot of the reason why a lot of these deals happened was that there was a frenzy, in my view, of institutional owners basically realizing that they can maximize the value of a lot of these assets. I mean, a lot of these buildings were owned by institutional investors that, were watching a potential to make huge amounts of money by putting these properties up for sale. And they came up with these valuations on these properties based on, pro forma numbers that were just like, because essentially you make a presentation to a potential buyer and, you tell them, well, you can, this is developable to, 500,000 square feet, and you can make $40 a square foot on rents in this property. It's got a great potential as a condominium, and it sounds like pie in the sky, but to a potential buyer, it sounds fantastic if you can actually make those numbers kind of pencil out. And I think that what was happening back at the time of a lot of these deals was the press, and I also kind of bring in people like CNBC, for example, where they were kind of like cheerleading a lot of these deals, and taking the numbers and saying, okay, this is a fantastic deal, the economy's going great, we can make a ton of money, how are you going to make it happen? And converting a lot of people did make a lot of money and made some and did some very good deals and had very high quality properties and got wealthy on the during the boom, but the actual kind of work of converting a lot of these properties from rental to condo or from rent stabilized to market rate, it's not easy. And I've seen buildings, I've covered buildings in great detail where the tenants fought like hell to fight the developers in every way possible to stop these conversions from happening. We've looked at it at Manhattan House. We've, the Sheffield, they fought for years in court, and that was one of the reasons why a lot of these deals kind of went bad, was because they spent so much time just fighting with the tenants to make these deals happen in the first place, that by the time it got around to actually, starting the conversion, they only had, money to maybe convert like a third of the building or half the building, because the bank's not going to give them money to convert an entire, 500, 600, 700 apartment building, and just have, converted apartments with new kitchens and bathrooms, and there's no way you can fill it in a reasonable amount of time. So now you have a lot of buildings around New York City that are half sold, a quarter sold. People can't get financing, and don't blame this just on the downturn. This was starting to happen already, where developers were going overseas to find buyers in '07 because they knew that they couldn't get enough New Yorkers or even Americans to get a down payment, get financing, and be able to close on a lot of these buildings. And there are buildings all over this town right now that are, have great apartments, they have great lobbies, great health club, and 2/3 of the apartments are empty. And they have very little prospect of filling those units anytime soon. And that's kind of where we are right now.